Hello, Namaskar, good evening. Welcome to NCRT's live interactive session. This is Simran Singh. And you all are watching us on PM eVidya channel number 6 to 12, or you can also connect with us to our YouTube channel that you all are well aware of. It is NCERT official. It's around 4 PM on your watch, and this is the time for our very special sessions that we call webinars. And today's session is going to be very interesting for all our viewers watching us out there, either on PM eVidya channel or also connecting with us to our YouTube channel, that is NCERT official. In this particular session, we are going to discuss about the journey of National ICT Awardee. Now, just providing you a glimpse of who National ICT Awardees are. They are resource persons of the nation who have immensely contributed in nation building. Do you want to know how? Let me apprise you. By coming up with new interventions in the field of teaching and learning in terms of ICT. And also we come up with such sessions for all our viewers to inspire you from their journey. So the most awaited moment for the day, for the session is, who is the National ICT Awardee joining with us in this session? So let me introduce her to all our viewers. In the conversation we have with us Miss Rachel Irani. Namaskar, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Simran.
A very warm welcome in the session.
Thank you so much for introducing me.
Honor to have you in this session. Just provide me few more moments. Ma'am is a teacher and head PR and events at Leelavati Bai Podar High School, Santa Cruz West, has joined in from Mumbai. Viewers, throughout our live interaction, if you have any of the queries, so feel free to reach out to us in the comment section of NCERT official. That's our YouTube channel. Apart from that, here is the contact number flashing on your screen, so you may also contact us at 8800-440-559. Besides, if you have any of the queries, any questions, any feedbacks or messages, if you wish to discuss or ask anything from ma'am, then she has joined live with us from Mumbai. You can also write to us at this mail ID flashing on your screen. It is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So Rachel ma'am, I am eagerly waiting to know about your journey and get inspired and the ups and downs and whatever that has been a part of your way and your success. So please apprise our viewers more about it. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Simran. I would like to thank Ms. Simran for introducing me as a resource of the nation. I believe being called that has placed a weighty responsibility on all of our shoulders as ICT awardees.
Well, let me just inform you that it's an honor for us to have you in this conversation. Welcome on board.
Thank you so much. I think that responsibility is something we all bear with pride. When we were awarded this particular honor by the President of India on a day so special to a Teacher's Day, it is one moment of my life that cannot be replaced by anything else. And it is that lead up to that journey that I would like to share with all of you today. With the tiniest bit of hope that it sparks something in all the other teachers out there doing some amazing work so that they may share that work with everybody else and we as a nation might benefit. So as they say, let's begin from the very beginning. I completed my schooling from a convent school in Baikala and my junior college from the prestigious Sophia College in Mumbai. I received a degree in mathematics from St. Xavier's College and did my B.Ed from St. Xavier's Institute of Education. I am currently pursuing my master's in education from the University of Mumbai. If there was one thing that was common all throughout my life, it is being curious. Always curious to know a lot more about what is happening around me. Interested in learning about different things, experimenting, sitting with lovely tubes of toothpaste and pain balm and creating some weird concoctions. If there was any artifact in the house, I would want to know how it works. I remember when my father first brought home his mobile phone. They were a very big thing then. And my most favorite thing about it was being able to read on it. Being an avid reader, having access to so many different resource books online completely made me overwhelmed with happiness with this gadget that could contain everything. And of course, puzzles and games were something that were like water to a starving person. With the evolution of the mobile phone and my own evolution in life, as they say, it was very interesting to see different things and different features being added on to the world of technology. I can safely say I was young and old both when I was introduced to Orkut first and then Facebook, and now we're trending on Twitter and Instagram. NCERT too sent me a banner that is published on all of its social media handles. Who says teachers are not cool? We learn so quickly with all of these things. The fascination that I had with technology took a new life of its own when I was introduced to tech-enabled lessons in the B.Ed program. Before that, I used technology for research, for recreational purposes. And if there was one thing that I was very happy doing, it was being a teacher. My entire house was filled with walls with me writing on them, different chalkboard drawings and paintings, and my favorite instrument, the cane, to stab and smack on my hand. When I first saw a tech-enabled lesson in my B.Ed college, I was bowled over. Wow, somebody created a quiz online and we were all fascinated by it. I couldn't believe this is how things were taught. Just imagine being able to be taught multiple things on multiple devices at your own convenience. PPT was the in thing at that point. And the biggest
Yes, Rachel ma'am, I hope you could hear me. If I am audible to you, then you can please respond back.
You are audible to me, yes.
All right, ma'am. You may continue.
Thank you. Like I said, I was introduced to the tech lesson format with my school, Leela Vai Podar High School. The best thing about the school was when I walked in and I was introduced to this magical thing called Starboard and a stylus that let me write on it. Wow, where was the chalkboard and the dust that I was looking for? This was completely cool and new. I could draw, I could paint, I could highlight different colors, and I didn't even need a pen. And that's when I knew that my love for technology had found its home. This is exactly when I started creating and curating lessons for various subjects. Initially in the primary section, later in the middle, and now currently in the secondary section. I think the biggest breakthrough as a school was looking at how every lesson had to have a tech component. That made me strive even harder. Imagine being able to teach mathematics and an abacus just pops up on your screen. Imagine having a child coming out and solving a quiz on one half of the board while the other child is solving a sum manually on the other half. Two different sets of learners, completely engaged. Seems impossible, but that's the world I got my exposure to technology in. And I do credit my school for that. Every bit of research that was done to create a lesson always had a plan in mind. And it is that what I want to share with each and every one of you today. I wish the learners and the listeners and our lifelong learners, the teachers who are viewing this program, understand how important it is to work towards something so monumental and why technology is such an integral part of any teacher's set of tools. So why did I choose technology-enabled teaching, and why did I go into something that was maybe easier for me? Just take a textbook and read. because that's the need of the hour. The phrase digital native is what is appropriate for every single child born today. Every child born today knows more about technology than we do. I have a 7-year-old nephew who could dismantle his phone and put it back again, while his mother looks on helplessly, not able to even switch it off. That's the kind of audience we have to deal with. So very excited for that phase of life. Technology allowed me to create learning opportunities on the go, affordable, available, and student-centric. No child was left behind. You have a little naughty kid in your class? Why? Give him a different assignment. Ask him to solve a quiz or play a game to multiply and get the answer. He's engaged so quickly and so creatively, and he's learning and he doesn't even know it. Classes became much more inclusive, and at no point did my teaching feel like work. It felt like this is what I was meant to do, and I was making a difference. So what did I do in these tech classrooms? Created activities to use devices effectively to convey a concept. Could it be just the star board? Some of you might wonder, why would one board affect a ratio of 40 or 50 kids in the class? No, it didn't. So what was this major turning point in our journey? The mobile classroom. Our chairman, Dr. Pawan Podar, decided that we must introduce mobile phones in the class. I can tell you that my colleagues were shocked. Really? Mobile phones in the classroom? Are we aping the West? Our kids are going to go crazy. But no. A very popular quote says, every child has a pencil. And the child can use that pencil like a weapon, or can use it to poke someone, or can use it to write. It is our job as a teacher to teach them the utility of that thing. And that's what stuck with me. It was my job as a teacher to show that child that, listen, your mobile phone can do so many wonderful things. Not just play games or use it to chat, but you could learn and learn anywhere. The focus shifted then from creating technology-enabled lessons designed for classroom teaching to technology-enabled lessons designed for personal teaching. One-to-one basis, flipped learning resources, online assessments that every child would take on their own device, creating videos, creating different kinds of activities just for students to view on their mobile phones. The very first activity that I did with my class using their mobile phones was not even related to any app. All I asked my class to do is find angles in the schoolyard. And what did they use for it? Their camera tool. You could see a bunch of 10-year-olds walking around with their phones trying to click photographs of where the wall intersects another wall, and that's an angle, a right angle. Looking under the bench where the table bisects, its angles there and shows you a right angle. Looking at the fan, asking me permission, can we please put it off so that we can see an obtuse angle. Standing with their phones hanging dangerously, trying to click a perfect click of the window so that it shows them an acute angle. They were learning about angles without me opening up a presentation, without me teaching them what angles were, or standing and saying, good afternoon, children, right angles are those that measure 90 degrees. Once they knew what angles were, they were excited to measure those angles. Of course, having touchscreen phones, keeping a protractor on that touchscreen phone is not really feasible. So what was the next step? Now we used an app. An online protractor. Once again, my young Sherlock Holmes started moving around with these amazing phones, trying to see how much did that particular angle measure? Imagine telling a child, this is your pencil, this is the scale. Draw any angle you want. And now just hold your phone and see how much it measures. Wow. Pick up a chit from the box. All those who got an angle close to this, you win something. Not once did a child want to say, I want to use my phone to play a game or call my parent. They were excited to know what exactly they could do in the class. Imagine 11-year-olds creating mind maps. Beautiful mind maps. This is the kind of learning that inspired me to learn more. This was not something that was taught to us. This was something we had to discover for ourselves. NCERT, NROER had resources available, websites were available, but a lot of the content was not really tailor-made to my learners' needs. And that's when I dug in deep and said, you know what? I need to change the game. There are standard resources available, but they don't work for my kids. So then creating of resources became my next fascination. Imagine sitting for hours in front of my computer after a work day is done, trying to find the best possible way that wows my students. Treasure hunt, burying things all over the school, asking them to use QR codes to go and search for things, solve the clues, and reach the treasure. Completing activities, sitting together as a group, taking digital notes, stopping in the middle of an English lesson and saying, hello, let's look up the meaning of the word deliberate. Something that would have not filled them with joy ever before. Because who wanted to open a dictionary? But everybody wanted to look at their phone. The phone was like a magic tool for every single child. When our school began this program, we first limited it to just one division of volunteers who wanted to be a part of it. That number has grown exponentially. Imagine, out of 12, if 8 divisions want to be a part of this. Isn't that great? Children are already carrying phones. Some of them have better phones than we do. So why not use that as a tool to our advantage? I still kept wanting to push the envelope. Why would I restrict myself only to English and math? A lot of resources are available. What about science? Well, nobody wants to hear about condensation and evaporation. They've been learning about it for years. But if I tell them, take a glass with ice cubes, point your camera at it, and I want to hear your observations. 3 GB videos by every single child. They were so excited. A lot of mails by all their parents because of the amount of ice and water they used to get the perfect video. They had never seen their kids so excited about science. Wow! They want to do the experiment because they can make a video about it and their teacher will view it. Their classmates will view it in class. That is something that kept me going. It is very easy to have 1 or 2 successes and then say, okay, you know what? Agle saal yahi repeat kar lungi. That's not enough. We have to keep doing new things. The year is over, these kids go to the next class. You have a new batch of students, but they already know about the camera trick. They know that teacher will ask them to make a video. So what's new? They have had siblings in the higher grades who've already asked them to do something. After all, younger siblings are used by their older ones to hold the camera, right? So what exactly can I do to engage these kids, these young ones who already know about the mobile learning program, about the device learning program? I changed the game. Let's not just find meaning. Let's write a blog. Your stories published every single week for your friends and your family to learn and read. You've done something great at art? Wow, let's have an art classroom on Google Classroom. Let's share your artwork with every single child. Let's have a story of poetry written. Best poetry gets a place of honor on the school notice board. Rhyming words, vocabulary, all of this learning took a swing right up to the sky. Everybody is interested, right? Everybody loves recognition. And kids work well when they are rewarded for their efforts. I didn't need to tell someone to do something. They wanted to do it. They were so excited with their phones, they didn't want to leave them. Every hour they would check, has there been an update? Has teacher posted an assignment? It reached a point where we had to decide, no, assignments will only be posted at a particular time. And that made the kids even more excited about learning. And I learned too. I learned from my friends, I learned from my colleagues. I saw a physics teacher in my school and she inspired me. She wanted the kids to learn about Newton's laws of reaction. And what did she say? Don't give me the boring examples. Let me see you do something about Newton's law of reaction in real life. My favorite video is this boy playing squash. Hitting a squash ball against the wall and watching it come back. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. A child who does not need a textbook example to learn Newton's law. That's what technology can do for you. That's what it's doing for me even today. I would love for everyone to see a few of the apps that we use throughout for teaching, learning, assessment. But I will also like to say that these are not as important as you and your mindset. I could have access to 1 million apps, but if I didn't want to do it, I don't think I would ever be able to. The only reason that I have been able to reach where I have, to be able to make a difference, like I do believe I am making every day, is because of the time and effort that we put in at the back end into this. And nobody can say that teachers don't know how to work with technology. I would love to share with you the idea of what a digital lesson plan looks like. Flipped learning, classroom teaching, drill work, remediation, all of it for a holistic learning experience. Used Padlet instead of a boring pen and paper or a Microsoft Word document. Pasted my links, pasted all my resources into one beautiful lesson plan. Click and you're there. As an added bonus, my kids already knew to complete large numbers, we had 18 steps. Once that's done, we move on. But today is not about what I did, but rather how I did it. And what was my thought process and my plan of action as I undertook this momentous journey. The biggest difference that I observed in my use of technology didn't happen when I won the award. Rather, it happened in the years after. As a teacher, I now have the added responsibility to inspire my teams, my teachers, my friends who wanted to be known for their work as well. That the Government of India and the different educational bodies honor teachers in so many different ways, with so many different schemes, was something I was unaware of before I went for the National Award. But every bit that I hear about always inspires me to do more. The biggest test of time happened during the pandemic. What's that they say? Everything changes overnight, and it did. Everything stopped overnight. Came to a crushing halt. What could we do? In a world where everything became so different from normal, I do believe it is we as teachers that kept it normal for the students. The youngest learners, people who didn't have jobs to go to, the youngest ones who couldn't really communicate with colleagues or workers, who couldn't go down to play because they had this whole new boogie monster, the virus, needed something to keep them engaged. Keep them engaged day in and day out. And I do believe that all these years of working as a tech teacher made our school transition from offline to online so quickly. Believe me, we already had Google Classrooms, so we didn't need to worry. We were already using Google Meets for meetings, we didn't worry. Every kid had an account, which was the school ID password enabled account. And they were all quickly transitioned. And when they realized that the teacher in class loved talking to them, loved discussing their background, loved discussing where they sat, noticed that, hey, you're sitting somewhere else today, and that child had a big smile because, yes, teacher, my mama is cleaning the bedroom, I'm sitting in the hall. And my teacher heard that. They realized that whatever may turn unnormal, teachers will always keep things normal for them. I have met so many pets over the course of the last 2 years. I'm sure wouldn't have been possible for any of us to see them in real life. Not that I would, I am terribly scared. But imagine being able to meet the child beyond the classroom, for them to share different aspects of their life with us. Being able to now connect with them became an added challenge. Why so? Everybody might wonder, but you were already doing the work. But you know what? They were doing it under our supervision. The challenge that I faced now was ensuring that we control other sources of information that might lead them astray. Because now they had their phone and they didn't have their teacher in front of them. And they would want to experiment, possibly experiment beyond what their age group would allow. So how could we make learning interesting for that set of students who now have their phone in their hand 24/7? You want to show them a video, they've already seen it. You want to play a math game, they've already played it. You want to teach them something new in coding, mommy and daddy have already put them for 50,000 coding classes. So how do we capture their attention? It's difficult. It's quite difficult, but not impossible. It's something that I have learned. They may have already seen so many YouTube videos, but they never saw their teacher record a video for them. That's what we all did. We recorded our own videos, recorded our screen, recorded ourselves doing experiments, walked into a class, logged into a class, not walked into a class anymore. And you should see the smile on their faces. Miss, it was your voice for the math video. I said, yes. So excited. A child in another division. Which teacher's voice? Don't you know? That became interesting for them to figure out. A new mystery. Teacher is standing, and this is what teacher's house looks like. Some teachers who were in their native towns and were stuck there, that teacher has a farm. Yes, she does, and she's now here for the last 2 years. They couldn't believe we had lives beyond what they saw. So while we got glimpses into their lives, they got glimpses into ours. A particular teacher's class always interrupted for 2 minutes because at a particular time there would be an airplane flying above her house. Imagine that. Not something the kids knew about her, but now they know. Of course. She still refuses to tell them her address because she says, don't come to my house. That's how it works. We love interacting. I love interacting. For me, The greatest joy is to see that spark in a child's eye when that child understands the concept being presented. Math is a monster for them. Oh, can't do anything. Cannot touch. Why do we need to learn? We have a calculator. I will never use this in my life. That's what they say about math. To engage a child and ask them to learn something that they are already predisposed towards not learning is a challenge that I welcome heartily. And it is technology that has helped me utilize all the tools at my disposal so that they are engaged in a very productive way. And just as we thought, we had figured it out. First year of trying to test the water, second year of pandemic, we are pros at using technology. We don't even need to know what the kids are going to do. We know exactly what they are using, which app they have used to look as though they are paying attention, but not really paying attention. Who at the background is telling them the answer. We've learned it all. And thankfully the pandemic then came to a quick end. Beginning of the school year began, and towards the middle of the school year, things started opening up. But everything was still consent driven. That means those who wished to come could come, those who couldn't, wouldn't. Now the challenge was moving to a hybrid model of instruction. Half of them are at home, half of them are in school. You have a neck brace now because you're turning your head so many times to see everybody. But if there's one thing that I learned, that children are very resilient. They were very happy. Those who were in class said hi to their friends at home. Those who were at home said hi to their friends with a plate of food. Transitions are difficult, but manageable. Now, when all of our kids are back in school, it is very vital to ensure that the integration of technology does not lose its zest. Are we happy that we don't have to use PPTs anymore? Absolutely not. We are still going to use them. Are we happy that we don't need apps or Google Forms or other tools to test our children? Absolutely not. We're still going to continue. Every single learner deserves that bit of personal attention that technology provides us. Every child who would normally be singled out because they cannot read does not need to even be addressed. I can simply and discreetly tell that child, listen, I'll send you a lower level text at home on Google Classroom just for you. You'll be able to read that. And once you read that, you'll be able to read this lesson. A child who is who's struggling at school, sees technology as this enabler, allowing them to be a part of regular instruction. A child who is unable to solve question and answers, but still can show me that they know the material through MCQs, deserves the chance to feel like they're able to learn in a regular classroom. It is technology that has helped me make my classroom a more inclusive and a more student-friendly one. There is just one way forward. A very popular quote. Is there something that needs to be said?
No, you may continue.
A very popular quote tells us that technology won't replace teachers, but teachers who use technology will probably replace teachers who do not. It is something I do stand by. No robot can teach your children. But if I have a robot in class, let me assure you, I will use it to the best of my ability so that it can help my children be the citizens of tomorrow. Every single child deserves a chance to learn, deserves deserves a chance to be included, deserves to be told that they are special and that their needs can be met by that one teacher. I personally do not believe in segregating our children based on their ability. I believe that the teacher can adapt to everybody's ability, and technology is a tool that allows her to do so. If I've learned one thing from all the journeys of every single national awardee who came before me that have been published on this wonderful channel, I have learned that it is you who decides how you can take your journey forward. The universe will fall into place. I don't want to mean filmy here, but as they say, if it's not a happy ending, to picture abhi baki hai mere dost. And with that, I'm sure I can keep talking. As teachers, we are gifted enough to keep talking for hours at end. But if there are any questions now, Ms. Simran, from the audience that you would like to intersperse at this point. I would love to tell every single viewer at this point that one great thing about being a teacher and an educator, and sometimes something that some of us do forget, is that we should be able to share our work so that others can utilize it the way it is and others can build upon it. That is one thing that I did learn when we went for the National Awardee session, is how everybody congratulated each other when we had our jury selection. And the amount of notes that we took, it felt like we were back in the classroom ourselves. Every single awardee select for the jury selection sat there so enthusiastic about what was being done. And they went to the awardee and they said, please let us know, how was it done? What was the process? I would love to replicate it with my classroom. We were 84 of us, and 11 of us made the final cut into getting the award. But we're still in contact. 84 awardees, learning about what we can use in different parts of this country. Learning about how maps were used and clickable maps were used with different kinds of resource data to engage learners. Learning about how we were able to connect and use Excel sheets for mathematics with our classroom. Offline tools, hot potatoes, learning about online tools, learning about tools that did not require an internet connection from schools in rural parts of the country. Hats off to them. I felt very honored when NCRT approached me for this session, also very small, because I felt that people before me have done so much. Maybe I've done just a tenth of that. But what I lacked in the effort that they've taken over years of experience, given that I'm still quite young, I do believe I make up for it in enthusiasm. Every single awardee, whether they know it or not, is a mentor to me. Their work is an inspiration. If even one person today is going to take my words as something to work toward, that would make me feel highly accomplished. The best thing about learning is that we all learn together. George Bernard Shaw actually once said that if I have one apple and you have one apple, then each of us just has one apple. But if I have one idea and you have one idea, then each of us now has two ideas. And that is how the world of teaching and technology-enabled teaching should learn.
Thank you so much for your kind words, ma'am. Now we have a lot of questions there for you. I think we might proceed towards the question if you allow us.
Yes, definitely.
In the first place, I would like to thank you for explaining so beautifully about your journey and inspiring a lot of our viewers. This session has turned out really important, useful, helpful for all our viewers because of the beautiful comments that are pouring in the comment section of NCRT Official. I must say congratulations.
Thank you.
So, yeah, of course, as I mentioned that we have a lot of questions there for you. While you were presenting your presentation and you were discussing about your journey, you mentioned that the biggest achievement did not lie in being the recipient of the award, but it started after that. So my question to you would be, has this appreciation, that is being the recipient of National ICT Awardee, inspired you to do more in the field of ICT particularly?
Yes, yes it has. Yes, it has. Every single tool that I now look at, I don't look at it only for my subject or my grade. If I pick up something, I now start thinking of its implications across the grade. I want other people to be able to use it. I want to be able to use something that is versatile for everybody. I understand there are some of my colleagues who may not be so tech savvy as they say, but I know that they are very determined. So we always choose something that is not expensive, rather free would be the best, so that it's not out of pocket for everyone. And everybody can use it. Like the camera tool, is it necessary to be able to only use it for angles? No. We used it successfully across all subjects. Labeling of scientific objects, finding a lever in your house from kitchen items, and then using that edit button on your camera tool to label the fulcrums, the load and the effort. Science teachers had an amazing time clicking off a lemon squeezer in the house. Everything was around. Some smart children arranged objects and Legos and created levers. Every single thing that we select should have now multiple utility options. Otherwise, I feel, oh, no, we should have a better thing. So yes, when you tell me that the challenge and the honor comes after, because like you said, those exact words were used by Dr. Behra as well at that point when he said we are all resources for the nation. And that we must work towards nation building, and it is our duty as teachers and awardees to create and contribute with resources for nation building.
Thank you so much for your beautiful words. As we all know that we are discussing about your success story, and we all know that with success comes a fair share of challenges or the struggles. So any anecdote you would like to recall or inform our audience about, where you might have felt that this is not my cup of tea, a bit of discouraged, a bit of taken aback, but then you felt, no, you have to make it, you have to do it. And that's why you are here today. Anything you would like to discuss, any story, any anecdote, any remembrance from your past or the childhood you would like to share with us?
I would love to share this experience because we started trying to see how far we could push the usage of technology. And I remember that one particular day in the classroom when we wanted to do something with our phones, and we had to draw the diagram, upload the diagram, as well as add some information into the text box. I could see 4 or 5 of them able to complete it, and the others were struggling. For a second, I was so taken aback because I said, no, they know how to do this. We did something similar on pen and paper, and they're quite aware of what they need, because this is just a transition to the mobile phone or to the laptop or the tab. And then it struck me there was a connectivity issue. And kids were struggling. So that frustration, I must tell you, was beyond, it couldn't be compared. Because now I had to tamp down and say, no, I can't be frustrated because I've got 50 who are frustrated. I have to help them out. And it made me think. So for a minute or two, I was completely overwhelmed. Did not know what I could do. Then I looked at their faces, children so small, tiny, 10-year-olds, wanting to show their teacher they know how to do the construction as well as label it using the device. The easiest thing to do then was, okay, halt. Let's try and resolve this. The 5 who are done, wait. The 10 who have to upload will have their devices on, the rest all of you switch off Wi-Fi. And they'll wait it. Everybody waiting in anticipation. 10 successful. Next 10. Slowly the fervor started coming back because then they realized it was not they who were at fault, but just the technology who sometimes, as they say, gives us a glitch. And that is when my conviction that it is the teacher who handles the classroom came to life. That yes, we use technology and technology was important, but if I had left them in the hands of a robot, the robot wouldn't know what to do. They would probably have to take the test all over again. So as awardees, I need to tell you that yes, there will be times that technology will not work. Whatever you have planned will be derailed completely. This has happened to me once more, I think, when the website that I was using or the YouTube video that I wanted my kids to see and then answer some questions on suddenly became unavailable just the next day when I was actually holding it in my class. I didn't know what to do. I prepared a form and everything for the kids to answer. I would show them the video in class and I was just looking at their faces because I said, oh, this link. I didn't know what to do. Because I didn't think that I would need to download somebody else's video without their permission. I'm very aware of that. So I said, no, I should have it online. I would never forget the look at my kid's face was, this video link is not working. And I said, no, must be your device. Let me check somebody else's device. And when we finally saw it, oh, not happening, now what? But because you have multiple resources available thanks to technology, I said, never mind. Let's table this for the moment. I've worked on too many other things, so we can do a quick quiz, grammar revision, let's take the class forward. But let me tell you, my face was a picture once I left the class and went to the staff room. I could have screamed, why does this happen? But you move on, because you have a group of students dependent on you, and with technology, you have to always seem to be in control of what is happening, and that is your classroom. Technology is not the focus. The concept is the focus. Technology is just the tool. It's like we learn from our mamas, no? If we don't get something to squeeze the lemon, our fancy technology tool, she'll use her hand and squeeze that lemon anyway. And then use her fingers to catch the seeds, and that's absolutely okay. Because she's the one who's making the dish, not you. It's not the lemon squeezer that's making the dish. It is you who are making the dish. So if you don't have the lemon squeezer to squeeze out the lemon, use your hands. There are multiple ways for us to reach where we need to and multiple tools available.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And when it comes to your experience or the experience in general for any other teacher, I personally believe that managing, trying to get the things done in the right manner, coming up with new interventions, even in the field of ICT, that's the job of a teacher. It's a part and parcel of a teacher's life.
Yeah.
Ma'am, here I would like to ask you, what is the difference that you see in the conventional form of teaching and learning? For example, when I was in my school, I used to study, there was this general lectures that our teachers used to deliver. They come to the classroom, they deliver the lecture, they ask us. Only few teachers asked us that if we have any questions to raise or ask, they just simply go out of the classrooms. That is the conventional mode of learning that we have faced. Like when I was studying like 4 to 5 years back, what is the difference that you see now? Active student participation, is it an important element?
Active student participation is always an important element. You know the content. It is they who need to know the content. A few things over the years that I've observed is many a times now, thanks to the exposure that kids have outside of the classroom, they already know most of the content. So your job now is to engage them in the classroom and for them to not see the classroom as a way to socialize with their friends. Because the video that you were planning to show them, they've already seen. They all have YouTube. They are online much more than you are. We want online. So if our teacher showed us one video In the AV room, I remember so clearly because you wouldn't have a computer in every classroom. You would have to go to either the library or the computer room and see one particular video on the large projector screen. You would immediately be so excited by it because it was something that was a special thing. Now they already have it. So yes, while their participation is more because they will tell you what is happening in the story before you reach the end of the story. It is also interesting because now you need to think of different ways to engage them. And I personally believe if I had to teach the same way, the same content for the next 20 years, I would be bored. This advent of technology keeps me on my toes, allows me to keep learning and growing into the field of learning as I should. We should never become complacent. Never think that we will be happy. I would like to end this little anecdote, and I know that you have another program scheduled after. I would like to end this anecdote in a very simple way. I recently saw this and I felt it was so valid. If there is a frog, and he always can jump very high in the well. But after a period of time, you put a lid on top of that well, a glass lid. When he tries to jump now, his head hits the lid. He'll try once, twice, 3 times. After the 4th time, he'll start jumping a little less. So he doesn't reach the top. He has the capacity to reach the top. But now he's not jumping because he'll get hurt. He's jumping less. After a little while, that frog has some babies. Those babies also have the capacity to reach way above the top. But they see their mommy and daddy only jumping so much. They're not jumping high because they'll get hurt. They also have the potential, but they don't even try. Let us not put a lid on top of our well. Let's keep jumping as high as we can so that we can reach as far as we can. Push the boundaries, explore, experiment. A lot of things will go wrong for you to get it right, and that is okay, as long as you don't give up. Every new break in the path is just something new for you to remember and laugh. And tomorrow or 10 years or 5 years down the line, those are the things that you will have your own journey to share with others, and you can tell them, listen, ye mat karna, ye maine kar liya, ye nahi chalta hai. Try something new. And that's what I want to share with all of you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. We are left by the last 2 minutes in this session. So ma'am, I would request you for the concluding remarks or the final words or any message to all our teachers whosoever is watching this session so they could make a difference in their classroom with the help of ICT.
If I have to conclude and if I have to tell you just one thing, teachers, it is you already have everything you need to succeed within you. Everything. Don't think that you don't have a fancy laptop and that's what's required. No, it's not. Don't think that sometimes your internet connection is unstable and that is what is required. It's not. Don't think that you need 15 different tools to be used in a class to make it successful. No, you don't. What you need is to use your mind to look at things differently. अगर सीधी उंगली से घी नहीं निकल रही तो उंगली टेढ़ी कर लीजिए. Change your perspective and what you are looking at will change automatically.
And as we always say that the change you want to first start from yourself. So thank you so much ma'am for discussing at length about your journey and informing us even these minute experiences from where we can get inspired. This session has turned out to be really interesting, wonderful and at the same time very informative for all our viewers who are commenting in your praise and elating you in this particular comment section of NCRT Official. Thanks a lot. Thank you to all the viewers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all the viewers who have been a part of this conversation. It's time to wrap up this particular session of webinar, but stay connected. Our upcoming session is Sahyog, where we will be discussing about dealing with examination phobia. Stay connected, do not go anywhere. We'll be back within few minutes. Namaskar.